Hey everyone, I am Stuart with Franklin Hill Ventures here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and this is my first What Sold video. And the plan is to share these every week so you can see what's moving across the platforms I sell on, and hopefully it can give you some new ideas on items to source. For the week of Sunday, August 17th through Saturday, August 23rd, I sold 33 items across eBay, Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, and the Whatnot Marketplace. That added up to $850.80 in revenue with a net profit of $489.41, which works out to be about a 57% profit margin. Those sales went out to buyers in 17 different states, including multiple orders headed to Nevada, New York, and right here in Tennessee. And here's a little bonus. Two of those sales were consignment, so a special shout out to Molly, Samantha, and Libby over at Consignment Chats. Make sure you follow them. You can search Consignment Chats on YouTube, click the subscribe button. They have lots of great content, but I know they'd be proud of me for doing some consignment sales. A big reason I can keep track of everything across platforms is because I use List Perfectly to cross-post my items. If you've been thinking about trying it, you can get 30% off your first month with the code FHV. Just go to listperfectly.com, go to the order page, enter FHV, and you'll get 30% off that first month. Now remember, this doesn't include my boost sales or Whatnot live shows. This is just my online marketplace sales. So with that, let's dive into my top 10 sales of the week. Coming in at number 10 is a vintage Tibetan brass ritual bell. This one sold on eBay for $38, and since it was a consignment item, my cost of goods sold was zero, and after fees and shipping, I made a profit of $18.63. Consignment sales are always nice to mix in, and I know Molly, Samantha, and Libby would be proud of this one. At number 9 is a 1932 Hail Mary children's prayer book that was published in Germany, and this one sold on eBay for $30, and after fees and shipping, my profit was $19.39. And just as a reminder, all of my eBay sales include free shipping, so that's always built into the numbers that I share. Moving on to number 8, it is a 1972 softcover book titled Golden Memories, 50 Years in Big Orange Country by Ed Harris. He was a local Knoxville sportscaster and journalist, and it's a classic piece of Tennessee Volunteers football history. It's packed with stories and profiles of legendary coaches like Robert Neyland, the general himself. And this one sold on eBay for $32.30, and after fees and shipping, I netted $19.73. I did send an offer on this one to close the deal, and of course that included free shipping on eBay, and I believe I picked this book up at a local estate sale. At number 7 is a pair of unopened Polaroid color pack film packs from the early 1970s, and these were part of a huge ephemera lot that I picked up in the booming town of Blaine, Tennessee. These sold on eBay for $36, and after fees and shipping, my profit was $19.96. I do always wonder what buyers do with vintage film like this, whether they actually try to use it, just keep it sealed as a collectible. If you know or if you've bought these, drop it in the comments and let me know what you do with it. But either way, it's a pretty cool sale. And of course, this was another eBay sale, so free shipping. Up next at number 6 is a beautiful pair of Wawel China cups and saucers. They're from Poland, and they're in a really delicate looking rose pattern. I don't know the name of the pattern. It's one of those I could never find an actual name. But anyway, Wawel China was produced in Poland post World War II, and selling items like this is why my wife lovingly calls me the China King of Knoxville. This set went to New York for $37.26, and after fees and shipping, I pocketed $22.97. Of course, this was another eBay sale, and yes, it came with free shipping. So that brings us to the halfway point in the countdown. We've already seen everything from vintage books and collectibles to China, and it really shows the variety of what sells. And remember, these 10 items are just a piece of the bigger picture. I had 33 sales across 4 platforms this week, totaling $850.80 in revenue and $489.41 in profit, with sales going out to buyers in 17 different states. So let's keep it rolling and get into the top 5. At number 5 is a pair of Royal Worcester silver Chantilly dinner plates. This bone china pattern with its gray scrollwork and fleur-de-lis accents, probably butchered that, was produced in England from 1966 to 1985 before being discontinued. And these plates actually came from a private estate pick, an opportunity that came my way because of the relationships I built over time by handing out business cards at estate sales, garage sales, and really anywhere I'm sourcing. Never underestimate the importance of relationships in this business. I know a lot of resellers shy away from China because of the packing and shipping involved, but if you're willing to do the work, there's definitely money to be made. This pair sold on eBay for $37.26, and after fees and shipping, the profit was $23.89. And yes, it did have free shipping, as I always do with my eBay sales. So at number 4, we have a pretty unique piece of ephemera. It's a set of 1970s TVA organizational charts for nuclear plant construction projects. Well, that's a mouthful. Not something you see every day. I actually picked these up in a Knoxville yard sale, and funny enough, they didn't travel far. They sold on Facebook Marketplace, so finally a non-eBay sale, and shipped just up the road to Clinton, Tennessee. The set sold for $38, and after fees and shipping, the profit came out to $25.70. I will mention that I do a mix of local pickup and shipped orders on Facebook Marketplace, but this one went out in the mail, and it's always fun when local history finds a home nearby. All right, we have another new platform. At number 3, we're heading over to Etsy, which is one of the platforms where I do charge calculated shipping. This sale was another piece with local Tennessee ties. It was an Oak Ridge Gaseous Diffusion K25 Safety Milestone coffee mug, another mouthful. Even though it started here at a garage sale in Tennessee, this one shipped all the way out to Delaware. The mug sold for $32.53, and after fees and shipping, my profit was $25.75. I do love it when local history items like this get picked up by collectors in other parts of the country. I always wonder what connection they might have to Oak Ridge. My number 2 sale of the week is from the Whatnot Marketplace, and I've really noticed this part of Whatnot starting to pick up for me lately. The marketplace is basically where you can sell items outside of a live show, and I've been seeing more and more activity there. This particular sale is a pair of vintage oval framed prints of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary, which I picked up along the Tennessee stretch of the 127 World's Longest Yard Sale. They sold for $36, and the buyer did pay shipping, but after fees, my profit was $26.42. Religious items definitely sell, along with these prints in the 1932 Hail Mary prayer book that I mentioned earlier. Also sold a 1955 Bible this week. So that brings us up to number 1. Just one more sale to go in the countdown. Feel kind of like Casey Kasem here. For the week, remember I had 33 sales across 4 platforms, and I don't think I mentioned this, but I did another $172 in booth sales and approximately $400 in Whatnot live shows. But now it's time for the big one, so let's check out my number 1 most profitable online sale of the week. And for number 1, my most profitable sale of the week, we head back over to Etsy. This was a set of 4 vintage Mary Poppins books from the 1960s, all published by Harcourt and complete with their dust jackets. These books came from an online auction lot where I bought 8 full shelves of books that I won for just $24 total, so the cost of goods sold in this particular set of 4 was incredibly low. They sold for $85, and after fees and shipping, my profit came out to $76.76. Books do continue to be one of my absolute bread and butter items, both online, and I also sell a ton of them in my booths. So that wraps up my top 10 sales for the week. In total, just as a reminder, I sold 33 items across eBay, Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, and the Whatnot Marketplace for $850.80 in revenue, with a profit of $489.41, plus approximately another $172 in booth sales and $400 in Whatnot live shows. So a huge thank you to everyone who bought from me this week and to all of you watching the video. I'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment below and let me know which of these sales was your favorite, or tell me about your best flip of the week.